Another day of basketball talk with Mr. Tyler Metcalf. All right, Metcalf, another 30 and 30 with a series. A lot of people have been reaching out and saying that they're loving it. Thank you guys for the support. Another prospect every single day. Big Blue Nation, Kentucky fans, it's time. We're talking about Jayden Quaintance, 6'10" and a half. I think they've got him at 255 now. Metcalf, he's had an offseason. The first team website I've ever seen add a decimal point to their height. Thank you very much. But Jayden Quaintance last year was at ASU. He reclassified, was one of those prospects where he was like, okay, I'm reclassified. I'm going to college hoops. I know I can't go to the draft because of my age. He ended up averaging 9.4 points, 7.9 rebounds, 1.5 assists, shooting splits 52, 18, 47, which is fun. But Metcalf, this is like everyone is getting hyped in the draft world, in the draft community of like, this is a top 10 pick. This is why you need to get excited. It's like, tell fans, why is Jayden Quaintance the potential going to live up to the hype at the big man position?
So this dude's a physical marvel. He was dominant on defense, dominant on the boards, and he wasn't eligible for the draft last year because he was so young. And it's like, oh my God, like you're getting that kind of physicality, that kind of motor, that kind of impact, doing the dirty work and the little things from a 17-year-old who's not eligible yet to go to the pros, but is still one of the most dominant post presences and versatile defenders in the country. That young, it's like, oh my God. And it's just, I can imagine NBA coaches and scouts just drooling over the potential. And it's like, oh man, if we get our hands on him, we're going to be able to unlock X, Y, and Z in his game and really take it all to a next level. Now we'll discuss the feasibility of that, but just doing the little things like being a force on the boards, where last year as a freshman at Arizona State, offensive rebounding rate of 11.8, defensive rebounding rate of 18.4, and then being a menace on defense with a block rate of 9.8 and a steal rate of 2.2 as an underage freshman. Those numbers and that impact rock.
Yeah, it was ridiculous what he was doing at that age. He's 18 right now. He's going to be 19 after he gets drafted.
Yeah.
There's so much upside. The weight gain he's put on, the physical freak, as you hinted earlier. If we were doing a freaks episode, he would be probably the top, because watching him on the court when it's him roaming around the paint, you're just like, oh my gosh, you constantly feel him around. Now we're adding all this more weight on him. It's going to be really interesting. I think that the biggest thing we need to mention is, he had an injury in February, torn ACL. So he's trying to come back. He's trying to get ready for this season. The expectation, the hope, I think, is that he's going to be, back on the court. It's December, hopefully. So he might miss like the first month of the season. We'll wait and see. But Metcalf, what gets you so excited about his game? Like what would make you be like, hey, I'm buying in just on this area? Not just stats, but like when you're watching his film.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the defense and physicality and all that, but something that we always say, it's like it's easier to tone a guy down than to rev him up. And I don't think you're ever going to have to worry about trying to rev up Jayden Quaintance. And then you just read off his measurements, saying at 6'10" and a half, 250, that's a load. But what that also tells me is that that's a center. And that's really encouraging to me, because I think going into ASU, I think he was listed at like 6'8" or 6'9". So the fact that he's grown, added weight, that tells me more. That's like, all right, he's probably pivoting more into being a true rim running, dominant physical presence, post presence center than a toolsy, versatile four. And I think that is way more encouraging for his ultimate NBA translation, because if he was in that 6'8", 6'9" range in terms of height, I'm going to need a little more shooting from you. And that I'm really concerned he's not going to have. But if he's actually legitimately up in that 6'10" and a half, maybe 6'11" if we're getting greedy, but that 6'10" plus range in shoes, now we're talking about a guy who can really easily play full-time five with that weight gain, with the physicality, with that mentality. And it's just a much clearer route than I don't know what you are on offense, kind of power forward. But now if he's playing like full-time five, it's way easier to make that translation.
That's been my biggest, wish list. I think going into this off season, I was hoping, this is going to be the ugly tweener. Are we going to do this song and dance again? I'm like, can he play small ball five? Then all of a sudden, because he was listed, ASU had him last year listed around 6'9". So he is listed strategically by Kentucky now at 6'10" and a half. And I think that's a really smart development for both parties. And I'm not just saying the hype fight, but him clearly being like, I'm putting on weight to be a center. I'm going to go full-time center mode. Because if you can sell me on that with his measurements, the physical profile we've hinted at, and then make life easy in the paint of like, hey, you need to play great defense, be a dream for a point guard as a lob threat. That gets me really excited about the top 10. Now, let's talk about, the offensive side of the ball. So, I mean, there's a lot of questions. I think last year we were all kind of watching when we had to watch ASU. Sorry, Sun Devils fans. When we were evaluating him just as a prospect for this year, I think we were watching like, hey, this is a 17-year-old. We're being patient. We know the shot might not look good, but he's still 17 years old, and look at everything else he's doing on the court. What do you need to see from him offensively this year? Do you need to see anything like with the outside shot or any sort of mid-range, or do you just want to see like, hey, you know your role, you play it to a high level?
I mean, it'd be awesome. Like if he's going to come out of the gates and shoot it, I'm not going to say no, but I also at this point, I don't think that's reasonable or fair to expect from him because he's not a shooter. 11th percentile on all jumpers last year. Of his 177 field goal attempts per synergy, only 54 of them were jumpers. So 15th percentile in frequency, 11th percentile in efficiency. None of that really tells me he's going to be a shooter. And even like when we go back to some of his high school stuff, wasn't a shooter then. The scoring touch isn't like, oh yeah, that's encouraging. But also when we just look at his possessions, it was all play finishing, kind of generate it for yourself stuff where it was on cuts, offensive rebounds, and he was only used as the pick and roll man 7.7% of his possessions. I want that to be up around 30% of his possessions. And then from there, out of the short roll, rim running stuff, can he show a little versatility with maybe a couple kickouts per game from the short roll? And it's not just power, not just explosiveness, not just raw strength going to the rim, but can he sprinkle in a little finesse with some passing reads out of the short roll, maybe a floater here or there, and just show a little bit of diversity in his offensive game?
I completely agree. I don't think I need to see much this year because I know what he's going to do defensively. I know what type of presence he's going to be on the boards. I just want to see, like, do you have anything else at your disposal? Do you have a little bit of touch? Do you have a little bit of, finesse around the basket, off the offensive rebounds or the glass? Or, if you're trying to put it back up, are you bringing the ball way down too low? Are you getting caught? If you get doubled, do you survive at least a little bit? Just like the little things that we're always evaluating with bigs. I just want to see if he's checking the boxes quick. He had some eye-opening months last year. 4-game split in December of 12-8 with 1.8 steals, 2.8 blocks. That gets you excited. Then, he had the first 8 games of the year, only 7.5 points, but he had 3.4 blocks at 17 years old.
Not bad.
We can get excited about that. So Jayden Quaintance is going to be one of those names I think a lot of people are getting excited about. You see people saying, hey, he could be a top 5 pick, even with, him missing some time because of the injury. But I think there's also just, pumping the brakes and seeing like what this development's going to look like and realizing he's going to have a little bit of rust to knock off because of this injury. So any lasting thoughts on Jayden Quaintance? Shout out Big Blue Nation.
I think that's a really important point too with the injury because it's a major injury not that long ago. I know it's like, oh, it's last season. That's forever ago. Not really. Like it was this calendar year. Let's be patient with it. If he comes out a little slow, a little rusty, a little stiff for the first couple of months, it's like, okay, to be expected. But once we hit that January, February timeline, let's see if some of that explosiveness, that power, really agility, that blend of physical marvel that we saw last year really come into the fold. And also, and then on top of that, if he can start to incorporate some offensive skills, not where he's a primary guy, but stuff like what we saw from Kevon Looney in Golden State for years, where he's a menace on the boards and just facilitator, great screener, then I'm like, yeah, this makes sense as a top 15 guy.
Looney, that's a good call out. I like that. That's a good pro comp and vibes that you see how impactful those guys are to teams if they can play it at a high rate. So, all right. Well, that's going to be the Kentucky episode of Jayden Quaintance. The 30 for 30 is down the books. Another prospect every single day, Metcalf. For all of you guys, thanks for the support. Thanks for checking it out. We're going to be pummeling these out one day. every day until college basketball is back. The countdown marches on. Make sure you check out the No Ceilings NBA YouTube channel. Subscribe, like those videos. Playlist will be on the screen. Just click it. Watch this for hours and hours and hours. Get caught up on the draft. Have all that fun stuff. Thank you, guys. Take care.